Hello there, guys. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And today, I want to have a discussion with you guys about why I think Nintendo's next generation probably won't emulate what we saw happen with the Switch and last generation Wii U ports. So it is no secret to anyone that the Switch was rife with ports and deluxe versions and remasters and definitive editions of games that released exclusively on the Wii U. It was a big part of Nintendo's strategy the entire Switch generation, and it started off strong and it started off early with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which we know is one of the best-selling video games of all time. Combined with the strong sales on the Wii U were titanic, massive sales across the life of the Switch. So both versions combined, just obscene numbers. And this released in only the first couple of months of the Switch's life back in 2017. It seemed and kind of felt like a bit of a one-off scenario at the time, something to just kind of kick the Switch off with something beyond Zelda early on in its life. Little did we know it was a tale of things to come, because we ended up getting a ton of ports from the Wii U to the Switch. Now, I talked about this a lot early on in the Switch's life when I was covering Nintendo and gaming on this channel here. And, it's worth noting that, and if you know me, you already know this, I'm a big Wii U fan. I will always love and defend and support the Wii U. I still own my Wii U. I still play my Wii U. It is hooked up to the same TV that my Switch, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X is hooked up to as well. So I can play any one of those four consoles at all time. And yes, I absolutely go back to playing my Wii U. And if you follow me on Twitter, I tweet about it every once in a while when I'm actually playing something and enjoying what I think is the brilliance of the gamepad. So that also means that I still have my entire Wii U library, which includes like 95% of the exclusive and first-party games that released on the Wii U. It's a phenomenal library. It is not a huge library, but the ratio of incredible games to not incredible games is very, very high. The Wii U is amazing. And so because of this, because I own all of these games, I haven't had a reason to buy any Wii U ports to the Nintendo Switch except for Mario Kart 8, because again, that was the very beginning of the Switch's life, and it was a very exciting prospect. I wanted to see how different or improved the game might have been at the time. This was before all of the expansion DLC that started a few years ago for the game. It was nothing more than the complete Wii U version at the time. And so other than that, in like the second or third month of the Switch's life, I haven't purchased any of these Wii U ports because I don't need them. I still own what I think are the best version of these ports on the Wii U. So whether you're talking about Mario Kart, whether you're talking about Donkey Kong Country Returns Tropical Freeze, Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, The Wonderful 101, Super Mario 3D World, the Tokyo Mirage Sessions is a game that got ported. I mean, the Pikmin 3, the list goes on and on. I don't know the number, but there's probably somewhere between maybe 15 and 20 some odd Wii U ports to the Nintendo Switch. So it clearly proved to be a successful business model, and when you look at all of these titles, it's pretty easy to understand for those of us who follow gaming and follow Nintendo why this happened. And it's twofold. The main reason is simply because the Wii U had a fantastic library, and everyone, including Nintendo, knows it, but it didn't sell very well. So a lot of these amazing games didn't get into the hands of a lot of people. And so the Switch became a great delivery system for Nintendo to say, hey, you missed all of these amazing games we released on the Wii U because you chose for some silly reason not to buy it and support it, which I do think this was primarily the gamer's mistake and a missed opportunity by the gamer and Nintendo fan to not support that system. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. I think the Nintendo fan turned their backs on the Wii U and Nintendo, and that was not a smart choice in my opinion. But because of that, Nintendo said, here's our delivery system for these games you chose not to play because you chose not to buy and support our Wii U. And let's be honest here, there was a bit of a business decision going on as well, because the Switch was not backwards compatible with the Wii U. So this also allowed Nintendo to sell at full price in many instances copies of these games that already existed on the Wii U, as opposed to in a world where the Switch was somehow backwards compatible with the Wii U, if it was just a different device that allowed for Wii U discs to be played, whatever that would look like. Then it would have been like, oh, you can also play Wii U games on your Switch, so maybe start buying Wii U games. Since it was cartridge-based media for the Switch, Nintendo said, here's all of these Wii U games and you have to buy them for $40, $50, $60 a piece. And people did. That's why we saw so many Wii U ports to the Switch. So between the fact that a lot of these games were just missed by gamers who chose not to buy and support the Wii U, and the fact that Nintendo was able to resell new copies at full price of Wii U games, that's why we saw so many Wii U ports to the Switch. So how am I relating this to the next generation for Nintendo, what we all are currently referring to as the Switch 2, everyone's favorite topic on the internet and on YouTube, and something I'm very excited for. Look, I'm not going to pretend like I can't wait for the Switch 2. You guys know, you watch my videos and follow my channel. I'm pumped just like you are for whatever this thing is going to be. And so when we look at the next generation, what we think is going to be the Switch 2, I want to break down why I think we probably won't see the same business model repeated. Even though Nintendo would probably like to because it was successful and they had a reason to do it, I don't know that we should go in expecting Switch games to get ported over to the Switch 2 in the same fashion with these deluxe versions. And I think that there's two main reasons. One, the Switch was super successful and everyone played all of their biggest and best games. And two, more than likely the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible. Maybe they shock us and they don't make it backwards compatible, which in my opinion would not be a smart consumer-friendly business decision. But if we go on our assumptions and our guesses, which is all they are, that it'll be backwards compatible, how are you going to justify selling versions of these games again? You really can't do it without significant changes to the game. Of course, a great example of that would be the long-discussed, theoried Breath of the Wild 4K port that was apparently shown behind closed doors last year. Was it at TGS? I can't remember if it was Gamescom, TGS, some event last year. It was reported that Nintendo showed behind closed doors to a lot of developers and executive leadership teams of these big companies a version of Breath of the Wild running on Switch 2 hardware that was 4K resolution and 60 frames per second and probably just gorgeous beyond recognition. And so there has been a discussion about, is Nintendo planning on releasing this? A, is it real? And B, are they going to release this and sell this for the Switch 2? So let's pretend for a second that Nintendo has a 4K 60 frames per second massively upgraded version of Breath of the Wild that would run on the Switch 2. That would be a situation where they're either going to sell it for a brand new $60 or $70 on the Switch 2, or maybe they do something like what we've seen Sony do for some of its games on the PlayStation 5, and they offer a $10 to $20 upgrade director's cut patch or next generation definitive version patch. So if the Switch 2 is backwards compatible, you take your Switch 1 Breath of the Wild cartridge, you put it into your Switch 2, you pay $10 to $20 for the upgrade patch, and suddenly your Switch 1 cartridge will play in 4K 60 frames per second on the Switch 2. That kind of business model applied to a variety of Switch games could be the way I see them selling you Switch 1 games or upgrades to Switch 1 on the Switch 2. But outside of that, emulating what they did for Wii U games on the Switch, where they are basically the same game, only stripped of the Wii U gamepad functionality. They sell you the exact same game. There's no bump up in graphics or anything else really. Maybe DLC is included. And they sell it to you for a full price with no significant changes. I don't see Nintendo being able to get away with that for a second time. I want to remind you guys of one of the key reasons why I say this, and it's the install base of the Switch. Again, at the beginning of this video, I laid this out. The Wii U wasn't successful enough to have gotten all of these amazing games into people's hands because they just didn't buy the system to be able to experience their amazingness. So with the Switch, 140 million units out there, all of Nintendo's best games selling anywhere from like 3 to 5 million on the low end to 50, 60 million on the high end for Mario Kart. And you've got Zelda and Pokemon games that are selling in the 30 millions. I mean, you don't really need to find a new way to make people experience these games. All of us have experienced Nintendo's best games on the Switch. So it's going to be a harder sell. It was an easier sell to say, hey, you didn't play Super Mario 3D World, you know? You didn't play Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, some of these amazing games. And again, there's like 20 of them or whatever. You didn't play these games because you didn't buy a Wii U, you dingus. We only sold 14 million of them. So you bought a Switch, so for 50 or 60 bucks, now you can play this amazing Mario game you missed out on. That was an easy sell in the Switch era, especially at the beginning of its life in the first couple of years. Bayonetta 2 is another example I'm thinking of. Obviously not a Nintendo-owned game, but it is their game that they publish and have the rights to. So it was a different model for the Switch coming from the Wii U into the Switch. For the Switch 2, I don't think we're going to see these deluxe versions and these definitive edition versions. And I'm okay with that because if anything, it means it's going to be backwards compatible. And I want the Switch 2 to be backwards compatible. I have a great library of Switch games. I probably have somewhere in the range of like 30 games, 99% of them physical. And so I want to be able to play and take those Switch cartridges and put them into my Switch 2. If I pay a couple of bucks for the occasional visual upgrade for some games, I'll do that. You give me a visual upgrade for Metroid Dread, I'll pay you up to 20 bucks for that. Let me have it, Same with the Zelda games. Same with, I don't know, so many other games. Mario Odyssey, sure. I don't even think Mario Odyssey is the greatest Mario game, but I certainly really like it. And I'd pay 10 bucks for an upgrade patch for that if it exists. So that's what I think the market is, and I think the business model is. This whole conversation was, I think, really just a good excuse for me to break down why the Wii U to Switch Deluxe port scenario was probably a one-off case. It was a unique circumstance. The Wii U was a great machine with a phenomenal library and an incredibly innovative, unique controller that I love to death. That didn't sell well. It didn't resonate with the gamers. Nintendo screwed up its marketing early on, and sadly, they could never recover from that. I still think a lot of ownership, like I said earlier, is on the gamer and the Nintendo fan. Because, y'all, you can't deny, and I can say y'all pretty comfortably, because 140 million Switches to 14 million Wii U's, y'all covers 130 million of you guys, okay? When I say that, 125, 130 million of you who didn't buy a Wii U. Y'all messed up by not realizing the Wii U was something worth investing in after a time, because the library remained good and solid of exclusive games and Nintendo games. So Nintendo fans did, in my opinion, turn their back on Nintendo and the Wii U. We all bought and supported the 3DS, so that's great. We were all doing that during that era, but the Wii U deserved love as well, man. But it is what it is. We can't rewrite history. There's no revisionist history here, and I've driven that home point enough, I think, in this video. And so since it wasn't successful, we had a unique scenario, man. Are we going to see maybe a couple of ports from Switch to Switch 2? Yeah. Will they mostly be in the earlier parts of the Switch 2's life? I'm guessing so. It just seems to make sense. And whatever they do port, if they try to do something beyond just the ability to play it through backwards compatibility, I think it's going to be a limited number of games that have some kind of significant graphical enhancement, okay? And again, whether it's a graphical enhancement that justifies a new $60 purchase, or whether it's something that justifies a $10 or a $15 patch that you pay for, like Death Stranding Director's Cut or Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, all of that stuff. It's going to be one of those two models, and I think it's going to be a very select number of games. Probably Zelda, God, could you imagine, by the way, random thought, if they do it with Mario Kart 8 again? What if they find a way to extend Mario Kart 8 into the Switch 2 as well, before giving us Mario Kart 9? This is not a prediction, by the way. I think Nintendo is smart enough to know they've extended Mario Kart 8 as far as they can go. I know it's still selling, but they can't do anything more for that game. They know they probably need to just make and release the next Mario Kart, and I think that will happen in the first year of the Switch 2. But what if they don't? What if they somehow say, for another $60, here's Mario Kart 8 Supreme Deluxe? And I mean, if they add new DLC courses, okay, great. If they upgrade the graphics significantly, sure, that would be interesting, but I don't know, it'd be silly. I'm just kind of goofing when I say that. But it's a funny thing to think about, right? What if they try to do something like that? It's not impossible. I'm not putting it by Nintendo to not consider that as an option. But I ultimately feel we're just going to get Mario Kart 9 instead, and that's what we'll get, and it's going to be great, and I can't wait for it. So, yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking about this for a while. I had a different video planned for today, and it was a 27-minute video that I didn't like, and I realized I didn't want to post it, and I scrapped it. Spent a lot of time on it. Just something that happens every once in a while. But I had this thought in my brain for a long time, and I was like, I still want to discuss this. So today's video was about this. So this is what I think we can expect from the Switch 2. Not a lot of Switch ports. Backwards compatibility, yes. Switch Deluxe ports and upgrades, probably not. maybe a few. So we'll see how it plays out. Time will tell. We still got to see the damn Switch 2. Hopefully it happens this month in October. And so that's what I think about that.